All the time we spent, wonder where it went. Why must time move on? Why must we grow apart?
To the Final Picture Show podcast, and we are here to talk about 28 years later, Bone Temple. And I am not here with Travis. I am here with my lovely wife, Miranda.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. Yes. This movie just came out, so I'm going to give several warnings, but spoilers.
Spoilers galore.
We'll do like a spoiler-free thing, and then we'll do like, hey, here comes spoilers, so don't listen up to this point if you don't want spoilers. But before we do anything like that, we've seen this movie a couple times now.
Yeah, at least 4.
At least 4 times, yeah. We have watched it smorgasly on the interwebs during our Frozen staycation.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
2 weeks, baby.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks since I've been at work. This episode, I don't know when I'm going to release this episode for future, so I don't know if this will come before or after the other episode where I said, hey, it's been a week, and then I'll be back at work on Monday, and that didn't happen. Or if it'll be the episode where I'm like, hey, it's Wednesday, maybe I'll be back at work on Friday, and that didn't happen. So, yeah, 2 weeks. It's been a while. So, during that time period, we have watched a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Have marathoned and completed a couple TV shows.
Yes.
Physically, we're not able to leave the house for an extended period of time. For the first week, we couldn't leave the house at all because our car batteries were dead.
Like the first 10 days.
Yeah. The batteries were completely dead. And we couldn't even get anyone to get to us to change the battery. Even if we wanted to. So we had to wait for the ice to clear up enough for someone to actually get to us to then
Memphis
buy a battery.
Streets, they just said, let the sun do it. And the sun didn't come out for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah. And then when the sun did come out, it took about, 4 or 5 days for it to melt 5 inches?
Big chunks of ice by our house. Like what that snow-looking stuff is. It's just like
it's just
6-inch blocks of ice.
Yeah. So this was a movie we watched a couple times during that time period because, we had nothing else to do. So hey,
we rewatched a lot of stuff.
We did. So 28 years later, Bone Temple. This movie just came out 2026. We kind of did the same thing last year where I solo talked about 2025, 28 years later, but we watched it together. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think you were sick around that same time period because you didn't show up for the review. I think it was because you were not feeling well. So we'll get to hear your thoughts on 28 years later because we haven't heard you talk about that one. And Travis has not watched it. And he's not a big fan of horror movies, as he's mentioned on the show before. So I don't know if he would really take for this one because this is definitely the middle portion of it definitely has some horrific elements to it. So 28 years later, Bone Temple coming out in 2026 by Nia DaCosta. That is the director of this one. So not Danny Boyle. So kind of like 28 Weeks Later, the original sequel to 28 Days Later, where it has...
We're switching it up.
Yeah, different director, but same kind of like writer, same general idea, same world, but different kind of vision. So Nia DaCosta is known for a lot of movies. She did The Marvels, that Marvel movie that recently came out that did not do very well. She also did the Candyman remake, which I have not watched.
You're looking for Candyman, bitch.
You're looking for Candyman, bitch. Yeah, I have still not watched the Candyman remake. And then she did Little Woods and Night and Day. So of all of her movies, this is the one I'm the most familiar with, honestly.
That's mine too.
Yeah. And I did really like this movie. So
I did too.
Early review, there you go. Did really like it. The writer is the same writer as the last few of these, Alex Garland, who is a man that we have talked about on the show before, and we will talk about again. His credits include Civil War, Warfare, just a show or just a movie called Men. 28 years later, 28 weeks later, Annihilation, Ex Machina, Dread, Sunshine, The Beach. He also wrote a few books, and he wrote a few video games. So he has written a lot of stuff. He's also directed some stuff as well. So he is kind of a big deal within the world of sci-fi and horror movies now. So he is the same writer here, but Nia DaCosta, different director. She would have kind of complete creative control to kind of do whatever she kind of wanted to do. So they kind of let her do her own thing here, which was cool. And you can kind of see that in the movie. It's different than all the other 28 Days Later movies, like in a good way.
I'd say that it definitely shows that the real monsters are humans.
Yeah.
In this one.
Yeah. I think that's true. Yeah. Here's the cast. Jack O'Connell. He's a man that's getting a lot of attention most recently.
Cutie patootie. Him in that little tiara. Oh my gosh. I love it. I don't know why, like, little touches like that are like what make this movie.
Yeah, he was in the first one. He shows up at the very end of the first one. He was also in Sinners, which is recently nominated for a bunch of awards.
Also amazing in it.
He is the main antagonist in Sinners, so does a lot there. What you doing? Sorry, my orange cat is just circling the house over and over and over again. He's being a weirdo. So, yeah, Jack O'Connell, he's probably going to win some awards in a couple of years as he starts to get more and more big movies like this.
I didn't know much about him until recently, but I like him.
Yeah, he's kind of like one of those actors, like I was talking about a couple weeks ago with Travis about, like, Jack Quaid, or Dennis Quaid's son, who, like, he was in 5 movies last year in 2025.
Is he a Nepo baby?
Yes. We watched all 5 of those movies.
No, and not the Quaid, obviously. I meant, what's his face?
Oh, this guy? No. But I meant, like, in the sense that he was in a bunch of movies in 1 year, and we just so happened to watch all of them. Same thing with Jack O'Connell. We watched every single thing he's been in. Well, not ever, but, like within the last... Yeah, we haven't watched everything he's in, but, like, everything he's been in since, like, 2020, we have accidentally watched without even meaning to, and just like, oh yeah, he's in that. Yeah, he just kind of keeps showing up. Another guy here is Alfie Williams, who is the main character of the first movie and in the main character of this movie. He is Spike. He was also in His Dark Materials, which is based off of a book series that I'm familiar with but have not read. And I'm presuming there's going to be a third movie, and if there is, hoping, and if there is, Alfie Williams is definitely going to be in that one because he kind of sets it up that he will be. Another guy who was in the first movie is Ralph Fiennes, who is here again playing the Doctor. He was also in The Constant Gardener and Schindler's List. So
he's been in a lot of different stuff throughout the years.
Yes, he is. He's well-known Academy Award-winning actor. Very well. Speaking of Academy Award-winning actors, Cillian Murphy shows up at the very end. Spoiler. It's not really a spoiler. It's kind of well-known that he shows up at the very end of this one. It's not super spoiler. Yes, and he was in 28 Days Later, obviously, the original. So this movie kind of ties into the original. And so that's why I'm really curious as to them being a third one, because it's like, oh, that's like the actual sequel to the first movie. Like, we get the original characters again and what they're up to. And Cillian Murphy has also been in a bunch of Christopher Nolan movies, and as well as Oppenheimer, where he won the Academy Award. And is kind of largely considered one of the best actors in the world right now. So he's kind of a big
Irishman too.
Yeah, he's the only reason I could feel like the third movie might happen, regardless of how well this movie does. We'll talk about how well this movie has done so far. But like, even if that movie, like, even this movie doesn't do super well, it's like Cillian Murphy is kind of a big deal. Like, he might be enough to make a movie happen on his own.
There's already one in the works.
Hopefully.
Because there's definitely, if they like just end it here, there's still like some loose ends.
Oh yeah. There's a lot, yeah. And then continuing on with some more cast members here, we have the Jimmies, of which there are several, which is a plot element. So there's several different cast members that all share a same name. So here are the Jimmies. There's Connor Newell, who has been in a couple things. Aaron Kellyman, who was in The Green Knight. He was in Star Wars. And then there's a couple people I'm not familiar with them in anything, and I think it's Morvra Bird and Ghazi Al Rafia. Robert Roods was in House of Dragons, so there you go. He is Silver Dennis within House of Dragons. Emma Lade is in one of the Jimmies as well. She was also in The Brutalist and A Haunting in Venice, so there's some like big things. And then Sam Locke is also one of the Jimmies, and he was in something called The Way, which is apparently a big deal. Samson, who we get to learn more about here, is played by, and this is the same character in the first movie, Chai Lewis Perry, and he would be in Gladiator 2 as well as Running Man within the last year. So some other big Hollywood movies. He is mostly, before this, known for stunts. He did stunts in Craven, because he kind of looks like Craven from the comic books. He also would do stunts in Bridgerton, and I have no idea who in the hell he did stunt work for in Bridgerton. I'm trying to remember what stunts there were in Bridgerton.
Listen, Bridgerton, that first season, amazing.
Yeah.
Princess Charlotte stuff, amazing. Please, I'm just not interested.
You're just not interested?
No, I really kind of lost the plot of it.
So the background here, beyond the director having a lot of completed control, is the Bone Temple, which the movie is titled, is a real thing. So that's not CGI, that's not special effects, that is a real practical thing they made. It took 1,000 pillars that were handmade. No, they're made from fake bones, but there's 150,000 of them. Yeah,
that's why I was like, they're not real, are they? Where'd they get that many?
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and it is really impressive. I think that's why we see so much of it in this one, is because they're like, yeah, we had to spend a lot of time making this. We're going to show it off.
I agree too. I mean, also it does look super cool.
Yeah. Another cool thing that the movie series is known for is little foreshadowing hints they give you. So if you go back and you watch the first 28 years later, which has been out now for over a year, Spike at the very beginning of the movie, when he's getting ready for his trial, he is fiddling around with a red Power Ranger.
Yeah, and then the Jimmies are obsessed. The
Jimmies are obsessed with Power. The Jimmies are obsessed with Power Rangers, children's nostalgia culture.
They're obsessed with basically children's stuff that was at that. What year is it supposed to be?
2001.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be right when 9/11, kind of around that time period. Yeah. If we look at the 28 Days Later as being the original one, that's supposed to be the 2001. Yeah. So, which means that those kids would have been still growing up watching 90s stuff. He was
8 when it happened.
Yeah, so he would have been not our age. We would have been older than that, but he would have been, around that age, old enough that he probably would have seen a lot of stuff on TV and things
old enough to have seen 9/11. His teachers would have put it on. Yeah,
that's true. So the other thing that I saw was the budget and this movie being in the news recently. So the budget here was $63 million. So far, it has made $53 million. And it was actually recently in the news because it has been pulled from 1,500 theaters. So we started off this podcast talking about the ice storm. So this movie came out on January 16th, so about 4 weeks ago, right?
I don't know if we could call that fair when half of the world was under an ice storm.
That's what I was going to say. That's what a lot of people online are saying, is this you're just kind of, yeah. So the movie came out on Friday, January 16th of 2026, and it came out to 3,506 theaters, and average at each of those theaters was 1,596. So a lot of people went and saw it on the first day.
Our ice storm literally started on the 23rd.
Of January. Yes. So today, as in the day we're recording this, which is February 8th, they announced that they are pulling it from 1,500 theaters. So if we look at recent numbers, the most recent during the ice storm, and this is why they're pulling it, is because February 5th, Thursday, so the middle of the week on a Thursday, it was in 2,402 or 2,042 theaters. And its average was $61, which means that only a handful of people per theater were actually going to see this movie.
Also, I don't feel like they had a lot of.
They didn't hype it up very well.
Yeah.
Not only that, but as you were saying, half of the country was frozen in. We couldn't go. The theaters were closed. If they were open, nobody could go to them. And if you were you and I, whenever we could go anywhere, our primary concern wasn't hey, let's go to the movies. It was let's make sure we have food and stuff.
Yeah, let's make sure we have tea light candles in case we lose electricity and have to heat our home.
Exactly. So the movie looks like it's going to be a bust. Of that $63 million that the movie cost, $15 million of that went to Alex Garland and Danny Boyle for producing and writing the original series. And then the $63 million does not actually cover the additional $70 million that was spent on marketing. So the movie would, to have made money, the movie would need to make about.
Where was that 70 million though?
I don't know. Maybe we just weren't paying attention. I don't know. Maybe it was more overseas. The movie did way better overseas than it did in America.
Maybe.
But it still would have needed to make about like $150 million to be considered profitable, and it has made nowhere near that.
It was released to like 2,500-ish.
3,500 theaters to begin with.
That's still not a lot. I don't feel like in like the big scheme of like theaters and like big movies. Like, still like, not even like
here in Memphis, we're like a mid-sized market. We're like in the top 25 biggest cities in America. Like 500,000 people live here. 4 weeks ago, when I looked at theaters, we could go see it. If I look today, when I looked just a few minutes ago before we,
but it was only at one theater.
It was at one theater here in Memphis. Now it's at no theaters. You can't go see it at all. If you wanted to go see it in Memphis, it's gone. The only way to see it would be to do it the way we've been doing.
Sorry, Danny Boyle and friends, but we weren't going to see it in theaters anyway.
Probably not. No, probably not. But I did think it'd be fun. So, like, usually this is when we transition into talking about the soundtracks of the movie that came out, like when this movie came out. But this movie came out so recently, there's not really much to talk about other than Taylor Swift was in the charts, obviously. And Donald Trump threatened to use the Insurrection Act. So, what else is new? All things that we're kind of getting, unfortunately, things that we're unfortunately getting accustomed to in 2026. I did think it would be fun to rank the movies so far, though. So of all of them, yeah. So I would say here's my ranking, and then I'll give you some time to think. Okay. I'm going to do 28 Days, the original, as number 1. 28 Days Later is number 1.
Write them down for me.
Okay. 28 Days Later is the original.
I don't want to forget one and then be like, oops.
You're fine. There's only 4 of them. I'm going to say Bone Temple, the one we're talking about tonight, is my second favorite of all of the movies. Okay. Then I'm going to say number 3 is 28 Weeks Later.
Okay.
And then the last one, I'm going to say the weakest of all of them, is 28 Years Later. The one that came out last year.
Okay.
How would you rank them?
Okay. All right. Let me look at this.
So we got days, years, weeks, and then bone temper. Bone temper.
Okay, I think I have to go days first.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to beat that
it's
one.
It's an OG.
Yeah.
And it really kind of sets it up. I think I do like it that much.
See, a lot of people don't like Weeks. A lot of people consider Weeks to be the weakest one, but I really like 28 Weeks Later. It's one of those movies that when me and Travis rewatched it, it was like, oh yeah, this movie is surprising. I think it's all because of Robert Carlyle.
I think we may have the exact same.
But I love Robert Carlyle.
Yeah, we have legitimately the exact same.
Exact same? Yeah. So we came to the exact same. So you also said 28 Days, Bone Temple, 28 Weeks, and then 28 Years. Yeah. So you didn't get to talk about 28 Years Later. What did you think about 28 Years Later before we get into the plot of this movie?
I mean, I still liked it overall. Like, I don't think any of them are bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say I think it is maybe one of like the slower moving ones of them. And also we certainly had nothing to do with the second one, so like why were we that involved with the dad and the
Yeah. I do think that like my big problem with looking back at it, because now when I reviewed it, I had watched it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have watched it God knows how many times, and we own it, and like we've watched it a lot more. So my opinion on 28 Years Later has changed a little bit. The ending I like more now than when I first watched it. When I first watched it, the ending was the big thing where I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what? That comes out of nowhere. Like, okay.
The ending does come very suddenly when it comes. Like, he's like,
it does.
I think you ought to go home. And he's like, you're right.
And then Jimmy shows up and the Power Rangers, and you're like, what in the hell is happening here? So, yeah, that part was kind of like, but now having watched it through on Blu-ray and like, oh, okay, I see the Teletubby thing at the beginning, and like, okay, I get all the little things and all the little hints they give you, so it's like, okay, it makes a bit more sense now, and I appreciated the ending a lot more. And then, and some of that was you telling me a lot of the stuff that you had read like on TikTok and people who were like analyzing the movie And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. And so it's grown on me quite a bit. But I would still say, of all of them,
It's just
my
more
weakest
slow
one.
movie. That's all I'll say. Like, I mean, one of the things about like 28 Days is like these are fast mofos.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and it is one of the more slow ones for some fast mofos.
Yeah. And like I said, 28 weeks later, I maintain 20
I
28
mean,
weeks
that
later is
one
kinda like
really is. God, I hate the dad so much more every time I watch it.
we talked about it when we reviewed it, me and Travis. I think all of these movies are allegories. Like they represent other things. And I think 28 Weeks Later is about toxic masculinity. And it's about like the dad represents that, and he's like literally haunting his son throughout the movie as he's trying to run away from like being that kind of a dad who would abandon his wife to zombies to die, even though she didn't die. Spoiler for a movie that's over 20 years old.
Listen, if you haven't watched it yet, I don't know what to tell you. This
So-
is not a spoiler.
Speaking of spoilers, this is where we're going to go hard into spoilers. So far, you've heard us say we both really like this movie. We said it's our second favorite of all the movies that have done in this series.
And I mean, if you're considering 28 Days Later ahead of that, that's like
Yeah.
a really tough one.
Sadly, right now, if you're listening to this, you can't watch this movie. Although,
Unless you enjoy a little yo-ho on the piracies.
yo ho ho, yes. There is always that option. But because it did so poorly in theaters, this is the only upside of streaming services in 2026. It's probably going to hit streaming services much faster because they didn't make any money that way. So let's get it on DVD.
Please just watch our movie.
Get it on Blu-ray. Get it
And
on
it's
4K.
good.
It is very good. The reviews are very good. Speaking of reviews, let's talk a little bit about those. And then a little bit about some actual behind-the-scenes stuff involving some of the things going on in the movie. So first off, the dance scene that happens between the Doctor and Samson, that was completely improvised.
Oh, that's one of my favorite scenes.
Yes. That was him just literally like,
No.
let's have some fun. And he just doing some
It doesn't
fun.
make you out if they played it while they were
Yeah. I love that part. So the movie had really good reviews. One of the reviews mentioned that it is like liking this movie is like they equated it to Jello wrestling, an anthropology professor at Burning Man. That was written by Amy Nicholson of the LA Times. And as of 2025, as of December of 2025, Cillian Murphy confirmed two things. He said, Danny Boyle is coming back from part 3, which makes sense because Danny Boyle has done every other part. He did number 1, number 3, and then number 5. So that kind of makes sense. And he also said that part 3 is happening guaranteed. That Sony, well, he says that Sony kind of knew going into this one that it was maybe going to be a little bit of a bust.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, 3,000-ish theaters isn't even a lot to bring out to begin with. Like,
yeah, so which is probably why they like so quickly were like, get it out of here, even though it was it's the middle of an ice storm. Like
yeah.
half the time it was out of theaters, nobody could go see it unless you were in like the West Coast.
Country.
Basically, like unless you lived in the upper West Coast, everybody else was like completely under ice or under bad weather, so you couldn't go see anything. So hopefully we get to definitely see part 3 come out soon, because I'm really looking forward to it, especially after this one. I thought this movie was tremendous. So we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back and talk about the plot of this movie, which will be having more spoilers. So continuing on with that thing. Yeah, now's a good time to jump off if you didn't like those spoilers. It stinks. We'll be back in a second.
Hello. I'm Orson Welles. I direct films and act in them. What we're always trying for, of course, is perfection. In a film, that's only a hope. But with
Final Picture Show podcast.
you can rely on it. Perfection.
Welcome back from the break. Next week, we will be back to talk about Cyborg with a guest. My friend Philip from college is going to join us, me and Travis, to talk about a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie from the 90s or late 80s, I forget which. Have you ever seen Cyborg, Miranda?
Yes.
You have? Okay. Have you ever seen Cyborg 2?
No.
It's the one with Angelina Jolie. I think it's better than the first one, but we'll get into that next time. Oh, there's the orange cat running around like a maniac again. Not sure what's going on there. Well, anyway. If you hear his little bell rumbling, that's him. There's a chaotic mess of animals now. All right, we'll see y'all next week. All right. So the movie begins basically where the first one leaves off. So the first one leaves off with Spike interacting with Jimmy's little group of Teletubby kids / weird serial killers. And then this movie kind of begins where we learn a lot about the gang and how their like rite of passage involves. Basically, you have to fight one of them to become one of the fingers of Jimmy Crystal, Sir Jimmy Crystal, who is the son of Satan. And that becomes a prominent part of the movie, is this whole like idea of Satanism. And a lot of post-apocalyptic movies do this, where it's like a lot of the movies we've talked about like have cults that form after like the end times, because like, you know, people naturally, like in religion, they kind of form groups based on similar thoughts. And I do like that in this world, the cults are Satanists, and
they're not modern Satanists. They believe in Satan.
Yes, yes, yeah, and they believe they should kill and hurt charity, do all kinds of horrible things to people, which makes them really bad. In this world, they're like worse than the zombies. This is a movie where the zombies take like a back page.
Yeah.
They're in the movie, certainly, but they are not anywhere close to being the main focus of the movie. So like, I like that 28 years later sets up like, okay, here's the pecking order. Like, we have alphas. You have like this island where all the zombies are, and then you have another island that they've secluded where everyone's safe. And, you know,
which
here's this
doesn't get mentioned at all.
Yeah, this one you don't hear anything of, like, Dad from the first one doesn't show up. The baby's not brought up. Well, he dropped the baby off at the gate of the first one.
I remember the baby has the one different color
eye. Yeah, different color eyes, yeah. Like the
and that has nothing in the second one.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah, just like our cats, apparently, Jimmy's fingers have to fight each other to see who's going to stick around, and this is a theme that the movie does return to. And so Spike, the young guy here, he actually manages to defeat the other finger in combat by stabbing him in the thigh, but he hits like one of his main arteries, so the kid just bleeds to death. And none of the other Jimmies help him at all.
Mm-mm.
They just kind of sit there and laugh and watch him die, which you can kind of see immediately. Spike is like, you feel for the kid. You're like, God, I don't know. This kid has got himself into some pickle. Like, this is quite the group of friends you've made. These kids are fucked up. Like, these are not the group of people you want to meet. So we get to learn a little bit more about the Jimmy gang, which is basically like they're kind of obsessed with Teletubbies and the Power Rangers, or the British equivalent of the Power Rangers, whatever they would have been called. I don't know. Super Sentai Rangers, something like that. Maybe they were doing. Hey, Nelly. And they also
Jimmy Sullivan, obviously.
And Jimmy Sullivan, yes. And they also believe that like they should basically sacrifice people to Satan, and so they do that a lot. And so you see the kind of like their carnage. Mostly, you hear about it after the fact but we do see one big scene in the middle of the movie. But afterwards, like they kind of like humorously hint at some other things that they've done in the past as well. Because they have like little nicknames for things that they do. So it's like, okay, like these kids have seen some horrible fucking things probably. As we meet those characters, we also expand our cast because we meet Dr. Kelso is back, Ralph Fiennes. And he and Samson have a little bit of a different relationship now. So Samson, the main alpha from the first one, big dick swinging zombie, he is now kind of a drug addict. And he's addicted to this morphine-laced chemical that Ralph Fiennes' doctor character has concocted that you see him use it 28 years later. He uses it to like stop him from like raging whenever
Samson gets hooked on it.
Yes, Samson is now addicted.
I made the joke before you actually find out that he is. I was like, Samson, like a junkie? Samson is in fact a junkie.
Samson is a junkie, yes. He is hooked on this shit. Which is kind of cool to see like this different take on a zombie movie than you see before. It's like a very different take because he basically
I've never seen a junkie zombie.
He basically like humanizes him. You know what? Only other movie that I can kind of remind me of is Return of the Living Dead Part 3, where his girlfriend becomes a zombie and he has to like take care of his girlfriend on the motorbike and stuff. Yeah, or that one they kind of like have like a human zombie relationship that's cute. This is also kind of like a human zombie relationship that's cute because Samson, you kind of feel for the guy. Like
Samson becomes a lovable teddy bear.
He does. He's not like he does still kill people and rip their brains out and eat them.
Only one in this episode. He's really cut back.
He's really cut back. He's taking a diet. Yes, he is ingesting a lot of drugs though, and he likes to hang out with his friend and do a lot of drugs.
Look, I'm saying. You don't even have to put me in an apocalyptic world for me to be like, I bet you I would like me some opiates.
It doesn't like hanging out with your friends in the woods and doing opiates and then dancing to the Pet Shop Boys.
Also, I'm still so pissed off because, like, not very long ago, people were rubbing it up. And I get cut out of the mix.
You do get cut out. You get knocked out of that. So, we meet them, but we also get new characters, which is like this whole little group of other survivors, which the Jimmies invade their territory. And most of them end up dead.
It seems like there's a backstory that we're not privy to also.
Yeah, one of them that is pregnant gets out, and she is also responsible for the Jimmies being basically murdered towards the end of it. We'll get to that in a second. But her whole character is just gone after this. Which I'm guessing she shows up in the third movie.
Yeah, I mean...
Which would also make sense, because then...
We have the baby from the
baby
first
from
one.
like there's a lot of loose ends.
There's a lot of loose baby ends.
Yeah, there's a lot of little loose ends that could make sense for the third movie to come in.
You know, the Epstein files are just come in. That sounds I can't.
Yeah, so we get more
figurative
loose ends. Yes. So the Jimmies show up at this like little house while half of the group is out scavenging and the other half is at home waiting for the other group to come back to eat. And once the Jimmies are there, you immediately get the impression that, like, they're not leaving. And they kind of let that known whenever the other group is like, what are you here for? And then they kind of keep joking and they're beating around the point that eventually the main guy, Jimmy here, says, we're going to kill you.
We're going to kill you after a little breakfast.
And they do. And it's some horrific, violent deaths, like, involving mostly, well, what does he call it? Do you remember what he calls it?
What was
the removal of the shirt? I think.
Yeah, what was that? Like inside out,
something like that. They basically de-skinned
the T-shirt off.
Yeah,
it was something where I know when they said it, I said what they were going to do, and you're like, no, and I was like, I bet you, just using my autism.
Yeah, and they de-skinned
and the words used.
Yeah, they use knives, and all of the Jimmies de-skin the victims, except for the one that got away. The pregnant lady. She is sitting there watching them, though.
Yes. They don't know.
They don't know she's there. Yes. She is upstairs watching them from... They're like in a barn. She's in that upper part of the barn where you keep like the hay and stuff.
Your base.
Yeah. And she's up the... Bells, yeah. She's up there watching from down below as her friends are getting basically skinned alive. Except for one of them. They keep one boy
that, I believe,
alive.
is the father of the child, her lover.
Seems to be like that's kind of the implication you're given, yeah. And he is given the option of like, hey, you can fight to join as well.
You can do the finger dance.
Yeah, and he chooses what he thinks is the weakest girl.
Jimette. She's the only one that is not a Jimmy.
Yes, and she is she's not the person you want to choose. She looks like a fucking psychopath.
No, she had crazy eyes. I would have chosen someone different completely.
No, the second he chooses her, I'm like, I would not have made that choice. Like, yes, she's a tiny little girl, but like, those eyes.
That Teletubby dance, and he thought,
those eyes scream psychopath. It's like, no, that's not the girl you want to fuck with. That is an insane person. So The fight goes about as well as you would think. And the whole time Spike, the new Jimmy, he hightails it out of there because he can't handle it and throws up. Because this is not the type of business
It's
he's
not
used
his
to.
kind. Yeah, who would want to be partying?
But his facial reaction to whenever they say like the name of what it is they're doing,
it seems like
he's
knows.
done this
but
before.
Also, maybe he's like me and was like, I can use my imagination for some pretty bad things.
Yeah, he's a really good actor because that look is like he almost looks like he's like hoping for anything else but this.
He acts
Because
with
he's
his
like,
eyes.
oh god, like this is going to be awful. Because he knows what this is. Yeah, he doesn't want to de-skin these people. So he's been outside throwing up the whole time. And another one of the Jimmys, who's the only other one who survives at the end of the movie, she is off scouting. And she sees Kelso dancing with Samson as they're both stoned out of their mind. And she thinks he is Satan. He's Lucifer.
Covered with iodine also.
Yeah, he is completely covered in head to toe in like a red orangish iodine, which he says keeps the virus away, which makes sense. It's also like, kind of keeps any cuts you have might clean, it makes sense.
It's an extra layer of defense.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I might start doing it around, just wearing green iodine or wearing iodine when in Rome. Yeah. So eventually, Spike and her sit outside and just listen to this going on. Did I do that? So Spike and Jimmy, one of the Jimmys, who will eventually learn her name here in a minute. Do you remember her name?
Kelly.
She and him are sitting outside, and they're commenting on how there's more screaming
Sounds a bit
than
more
usual.
murdery than usual.
And then inside the barn, where everyone else is supposed to be where the fight is, and that, like we just said, goes about the way you expect. She defeats him, and then she presents him to the OG Jimmy. He's like, "What do you want me to do?" And he is like, basically, you can kill him however you want to. Finish him. Very Mortal Kombat style. Yes. These are kids of the 90s. And so she says she wants to pull his trousers down. So she jumps on top of him, and before we see that happen, she implies she's going to peel the skin off of his dick. But we don't see that happening because at the same time, up above in the hayloft is where the other pregnant lady is, and she uses this perfect moment to see where the hook is. And pushes it, and it flies right into her head.
Miraculously goes into Chimette's skull.
God bless that she just happened to be right there. Otherwise, I guess that plan does not work. And
I had the idea that I wonder if she had just hidden after, if they had been like, what a weird coincidence that just...
I feel like someone would have gone up there to look. So
I don't know, probably, but someone would have had to have gotten up there first.
Yeah, so immediately this alerts them that someone's up there. So they all look up there, and there she is. And they all are like, "Oh shit!" And so Jimmy sends everyone after him. He does his best Nicolas Cage impersonation. It's very funny. He does like the hip finger pointing, like from facing backwards. Get him. Yeah, it's great. And so she gets out of the top of the roof and goes around the shed. And at the same time, the guy that they were fighting, he crawls away. He's basically dead, but he grabs a propane canister and uses that to set several of the other Jimmys on fire, as well as basically burn the entire shed down. Which creates a hell of a diversion.
Job.
Hell of a diversion, because she's able to basically get away to the only point. Jimmy sends Spike after her. And Spike...
He's just a baby.
He's just a baby. He catches up to her. And he tells her basically, like, I'm going to let you go, but take me with you.
I don't even think he says, I'm going to let you go. I think he just says, like, please take me with you. I'm a baby.
Yeah, I'm clearly like a little kid. And it seems like for a minute she thinks about it, and then she just kicks him in the dick and runs. Which, fair to you.
Fair. I don't know. I feel like
you're a pregnant woman and you just saw that. So I'm thinking, like, you're like, get the fuck away from
Matthew,
that.
I would never be pregnant in the apocalypse because, one, I wouldn't be alive. But also, two, I would not be fucking.
Yeah.
But then I had this thought, what if she wasn't fucking? And what if Jimmy's dad, like, he raped her? And that's why they had this weird familiarity. And that's why he was so obsessed with the baby.
I don't know. I think it could be that.
No one seemed to be rapey, though.
No, there wasn't really a whole lot of rape in this movie. There's really none, though. There's not really even implied any. I will say that about Danny Boyle's universe is other than the first one when the soldiers look like they're going to rape the girls, there's not any other hints of that in any of the other movies.
I don't know. I feel like the way they did that was very realistic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense in that movie.
Yeah.
Perfect sense. So,
which is why it wouldn't be alive.
Yeah, Jimmy doesn't believe Spike's story that she got away. Well, he doesn't tell her that he got away.
Spike says he killed her.
He says he kills her. Yeah, he shot her in the woods and her body is somewhere over there, which of course no one believes. But that immediately changes the whole direction of the movie because the other Jimmy tells the main Jimmy that she had seen Saint Nick. She had seen Satan himself in the woods, which immediately sends the entire other plot of the movie to a different direction. And I will say some people have pointed out that the movie is very, almost...
I thought they were talking about Santa Claus.
Some people have said that the movie is, almost written by, I don't know if they meant it negatively or if they meant it positively, but, written by, an ADHD person. Because it'll, it's going in one direction.
Is that why I enjoy it?
Because you're thinking it's going to be okay, we're going to go chase this pregnant woman, and they're going to be that's the rest of the movie.
Mm.
Or the movie's going to be is Spike going to get punished for not killing him? And the movie is nope, let's go talk about Satan.
But about Spike being punished is part of it, because she's let's have Saint Nick choose. Also, he's over there.
Yes. Normally, Jimmy summons Saint Nick, and this time they're he's here, and so they have to go check it out. And then when they go and do so, I love him using the binoculars.
Oh my gosh, that
because he clearly doesn't know how to use them. He uses them upside down and as one binocular instead of
in terms of architecture. That's not very long.
Yeah, so they see the doctor over there dancing. In
Bone Temple.
Bone Temple. He's covered in his iodine. And for a minute, he's like, is that Saint Nick? Who he thinks is his father. Because he is the son of Satan.
I'm very confused if he actually believes that, or if it's
I feel like he is a Satan. I think that is the whole thing. I don't know.
I don't know.
But eventually...
Part of me thought that he didn't believe it himself, and it was just a little...
Well, eventually he comes to the conclusion that he thinks that the doctor is Saint Nick, so he's going to go down and investigate while his peeps, as he calls them.
I love
the
little I love the little bits of
90s references or 2000 references.
Yes, I love that because I haven't heard peeps in 24 years.
So he goes down, and this is the great scene where we have Ralph Fiennes and him in their interaction, where he's basically explains that I'm not Satan, but he's not upset about that.
Now, also imagine for a few minutes, I was thinking we were talking that he thought he was Santa Claus. I was very confused because I don't know. When I think of Satan, I've never heard anyone call Satan Saint Nick. I've only heard of.
Yeah, it took me a minute too because he was
he's talking about being red, so I was like, yeah.
He's like, you've never heard of Saint. He's like, you've never heard of Saint Nick, and he's like, no, who? And I'm like, the same, bro. And then he's like, oh wait, you're talking about Satan, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's what we're talking about. Okay, cool.
I was so confused how we were going to Santa Claus at this. I mean, I didn't question it
the entire time. Even in the first movie, at the end of it, when he shows up, he does have an upside down crucifix. But I didn't really ever think oh, he's a Satanist. I just was like, oh, that's just something cool he found.
He did that because he was like, God abandoned me.
Uh-huh.
Because that was given to him by his father, who then led the... He was, a fanatic of some sort that thought that he had control over them.
So that he calls them his children in the first movie. And we get talked about that here because... Whenever Kelso is talking to Jimmy about his dad, he tells him my dad was one of the leaders of the forefronts of the, because Jimmy believes that the zombies are because of Satan's wrath.
Mm-hmm.
That he saw what man was doing and he unleashed his foe. He unleashed his children.
His father was actually a preacher too, so he probably had some weird fundamentalist bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. They the two boy cats are having disagreement about who's, I guess, king of Pride Mountain.
Well, it's Denny. He's 16.
He has a 16-year-old boy. Yes, yeah. So this doesn't end like you think it would as well, though, because it doesn't end with the Jimmy's killing Doc for being not who Saint Nick is. Instead, Jimmy's like, "Okay, we're going to strike a bargain with you," which is basically like, "I know you're not Saint Nick."
But they have a heart to heart first, so don't let Matt be like he walks in. He's like, "Hey, not my daddy."
No, they do have a heart to heart where they're like they sit and talk about like what he remembers from before all this happened, and all the different things that happened, and what was going on when it happened, and how old he was. And so, yeah, you do get a lot more information about Jimmy, about what he believes.
The Satanism makes a lot more sense, especially when you look at like the first movie where you see that his dad is very involved in whatever kind of church. I guess they don't really bring up the religion, but it looks very Catholic to me.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then we also learn a little bit more about about the doctor here and about how his mentality, as he's been he's been doing this for 30 years.
Question. And Jimmy's never read a book.
Never read a book, no.
Something to be proud of.
Something to be proud of in 2026, indeed. No reading. No, absolutely not. No. But they do strike a bargain, a quid pro quo, as they say. Which is basically like, hey,
Jimmy
and the doctor. Well, he's kind of forced into it. Basically, he's like, look, you pretend to be Satan for my peeps.
My peeps really want to meet Satan.
We're going to kill you. Those are your options. Yeah, basically, like, I'm going to kill you, or you pretend to be Satan. So, he agrees. And,
he's like, hell yeah. Oh, I don't know if he said hell yeah. He didn't really. I feel like it was
he begrudgingly agrees. He's kind of just like,
hell yeah.
I've got some Iron Maiden records. We can make it work. Which is what he does. He ends up getting some Iron Maiden records and some pyrotechnics. Yeah, he puts together a light show, which is pretty fun actually. But before that happens, he realizes that like he might die soon, and who's going to take care of Samson when he dies?
I wasn't thinking he was thinking about his own death. I was thinking he was thinking about Samson not having enough medicine.
Well, that's also the issue, is like he's running out of medicine at the rate Samson's addicted. Like he's taking a bunch a day.
Medicine, that's a loose term. That's an old-timey medicine dose.
Yeah. But he does mention like whenever Jimmy visited him, like for the first time in like 28 years, he actually was like scared of dying. Because he was like, I felt out of control of the situation.
He was talking to Samson, he's like, that was the first time. I don't know that he meant afraid of dying or like afraid of being like murdered, because he's been living in isolation.
Yeah, that's true.
And like, his predators were Samson, and he had made like friends with Samson. So yeah, I mean, again, this movie is ultimately like, man is the worst.
Yeah.
Like, man is the evil, man is the beast, man is the,
Don't join cults.
Yeah.
So he gives Samson basically this drug concoction, this cocktail drug, that he thinks will basically reawaken some of his memories, because at this point, Samson has spoken.
He said moon, baby.
He did said moon, yes. Before he says moon, Doctor is going to kill him.
He's about to put him to sleep.
He's going to give him the same drug he gave the mom in the first movie, to be like, this will just kill you. Like, you won't feel any pain.
Imagine that's what we gave the babies at the bed's office.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'll go to sleep and you won't wake up again. Like, that's it. You won't. That's it. Worst ways to go. But right before he does that, Samson says moon. And then,
he wants to know if he can, like, kind of give consent to. No, he doesn't start thinking about reversing it until
afterwards,
because then he's like, whoa, moon.
Yes. Yeah. After he's like moon, he's like, yeah, there's still
and then he's like, okay, so like the morphine clearly does something to where like you're not in pain or you're not seeing whatever.
Yeah, he kind of is like
you also
thinking that,
see
like,
what they see in this one, which is pretty stupid looking, but scary-ish, I guess.
Yeah, they kind of try.
I feel like I wouldn't be scared of that. But
they try to do some psychological, like they basically try to psychologize the zombies and be like, what do they see? Like,
it is a little guesstimating what he sees in his
But
own
it's-
mind
it
when
makes
he's
sense.
ripping things apart.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah. Because he's like, well, I've seen, like, zombies rip babies up. Like, what could a baby do to you that would make, like, you want to rip a baby
Yeah,
up?
there's no like uncanny valley to where it's like that's gonna kill me.
Yeah, so there has to be something that you're seeing, you're smelling, or some kind of psychological effect that's making you see something. So he's like, here's what I would give someone if they were, like, going through a severe psychosis thing. So it kind of works for Samson. We also see
I mean,
a
I
little
think
bit
it
of...
does work.
Yeah, we see a little bit of, like, his own, like, history before the stuff happened. And also the other zombies kind of turn on him now. And they start, like, attacking him as he's in this, like, getting attacked by zombies at the same time.
I'm confused about this because it shows him as a child, and it's like, well, if this has been going on for decades, like, I guess he would have been a child, but it also shows him as an adult.
Yeah.
I'm very confused as to when, like, what Samson's age or how, like, the aging process is working because
Maybe
he's
it's-
an alpha. Like, was he as a child and then become, like, a swinging dick alpha? Or was he a swinging dick alpha and doesn't age because the virus slows or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, because in the flashback, it is him as, like, a little baby, like a little kid on a bus.
Yeah, it shows
and everybody
like,
else,
different
like, starts turning
ages.
into zombies around him. And he's just like...
And that's
what's
when you
happening?
know, okay, well, they don't see him as a zombie anymore.
No, yeah. I was a little confused by that part too. That'd be interesting to see. I think they're going to talk. Hopefully, they do more about that in the third movie.
Hopefully,
because that'll be interesting. So while that's happening, because they kind of set up that like maybe Samson's going to come in and like save.
I was
save
a
the
little,
day.
yeah, I was hoping that Samson was going to be like a bulldog.
He shows up a little bit late to the party, but
Yeah, he's too busy eating fucking berries. And...
so the fingers show up to meet Satan, and the doctor has pulled out Iron Maiden records. He plays 666 Number of the Beast.
It's really good.
It does really good. He does like a whole show and a production, and
You
he
also have
blows,
to
like,
imagine that these people have never
yeah.
like,
He also
encountered any of this, heard this song.
he blows like angel dust or ecstasy or whatever in their face, so like
I
everyone's
imagine
kind of
it's some
tripping.
sort of a hallucination.
Yeah, everyone's tripping while he's doing this because he like walks around while all the figures are watching and just like blows this like powder in their face, and all of a sudden everyone's high as shit. So everyone's having a good time, and then towards the end of it, when it stops, is when things get a little bit bad because now is when Satan has to give his speech to the Jimmies and tell them basically like what he wants them to do, and it's going pretty well until he recognizes Spike. Now all the other Jimmies, other than the main Jimmy Crystal, they all have masks on, but the doctor recognizes Spike. Because, I mean, how could you not? You'd recognize that little kid anywhere. And so rather than...
probably not a lot of little kids, too.
Yeah, rather than following the script him and Jimmy had worked out, he kind of deviates from that and says, like, also, like, I want this little boy. Like, he's going to come with me. Like, I have special plans for this one. And that immediately sends everything off, which eventually leads to him
That's not even what happens, though.
What does happen, then?
Isn't it when, like, doesn't he say that he wants him to make a sacrifice to himself? Because
that's after that, because he gets pissed that he wants Spike, and then the Jimmies see like him going against Saint Nick, and they're like, "Who are you to question Saint Nick?" And then they're like, "Oh," and then he's like, "Yeah," because eventually the Saint Kelso, the doctor, tells them to like they should basically crucify him, Jimmy. Upside down, like he needs a blood crucifixion.
He wants him to like sacrifice himself, like Christ did for. Well, I'm not going to get into that because I'm still confused about how all of that works. But
and so when Jimmy hears this, he immediately says, "Gigs up," and stabs the doctor in the ribs to where he's going to die from it. Hits him right in the liver, and immediately is like, "If this was Saint Nick, could I do this?" And he stabs him, and then he sends the other Jimmies after Spike and what's her name?
Kelly.
That's it. Sorry. Nose is congested. And that ends it eventually, basically, with the other Jimmies dead. Spike and Kelly and the doctor survive, and then they upside down crucify Jimmy. And then the doctor slowly dies until Samson shows up while Jimmy and Kelly get out of there. And eventually Samson shows up, and we get to see a little bit of that. And then the other zombies come, and they kill Jimmy as he says, "Father, why have you forsaken me?" As he gets crucified upside down. And then Jimmy and Kelly, we cut later, and they are getting chased by zombies in the woods somewhere. And while that is happening, Cillian Murphy from the first 28 Days Later, way back when, he is giving a history lesson to his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden,
He's got a little white hair, so it's an age.
Yeah,
We've
he's aged, yeah, which is cool that we get to finally see him because we have not seen him.
I'm excited about that part. I don't know how they're going to tie it in. I'm excited to see how.
There's a lot of questions. Yeah, quite a few questions actually. Yeah, so then all of a sudden, while he's in the middle of giving his daughter a history lesson, which is very funny the way they have it said. This is probably the funniest of all these movies, I will say. There's a lot of
there are a lot of very hilarious. Matt and I caught ourselves laughing a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot more comedic moments than you would think, like the dancing moment between him.
I mean, there's several parts where just especially I don't know what you call him, main Jimmy, the comedic timing.
Oh yeah, he's very
of
funny.
Certain things.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
And again, the tiara, just I love the plastic tiara. I just feel like that adds so much to who Jimmy is as we know him.
Yeah, so then Cillian Murphy,
Prince of Darkness.
He is the Prince of Darkness. So Cillian Murphy stops his history lesson when he hears commotion out in the backyard. Him and his daughter get their guns. They go out and they see Spike and Kelly being chased by zombies, and they say, we're going to help them. And then credits. And that's where we set up where number 3 is going to happen, where we're finally going to see, all of the worlds come together.
Any of this together?
I feel like that is the setup for number 3. At least finally we're going to get the tie-in from the first movie to these 3 movies. And then I don't know if 28 Weeks Later is still going to be its own separate thing that just kind of exists in its own world. Where there's Jeremy Renner's there, the Americans have shown up, all kinds of stuff happened in 28 Weeks Later that have just never been talked about ever again after that. Which makes sense. It is kind of its own separate little thing there. Well, thank y'all for coming along. I guess final thoughts. What we both said that this was our second favorite, so we both really liked it. I really like this movie.
I don't think there's anything not to like. It is, if you're a body horror fan, there is that. If you're not a body horror fan, this may not be the movie for you. It's not very long.
No.
But there definitely is some body horror.
Yeah, there's horror in the middle section. There's that's really where you get a lot of it. The skinning part, and then at the beginning you see I will say the zombies are. This is maybe the least zombie you will see in a long time.
You do not see a lot of zombies. Period.
Samson is a main character.
Yeah, besides Samson.
But other than him, up until the end of it, you really don't see a whole lot of zombies. You kind of almost forget that they are in this movie for a little while.
I mean, like I said, this movie is the quintessential, man is the monster.
Man is the monster, yes. Indeed. Yeah, I really like this movie. I'm really looking forward to the third one.
I thought it was so funny. Very funny. Uh-huh. And I thought the cast was really good for it.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing that's going to suck in the third one is that we won't have our Jimmy coming back.
Do we know that?
I guess we don't know that.
We do not see him die.
We do hear him screaming, and we see zombies off top of him, but that doesn't mean it. He might come back in some other way.
Maybe we're going to have somewhere a protagonist.
We also have the whole pregnant woman that we disappeared. We have Spike's dad that was kind of like an asshole that might come back.
Not even Spike's dad. Who gives a shit about him? But that baby they dropped off that again has the mom eye where she herself was a carrier but was not infected, showing symptoms. But she, when the dad kissed her, he got.
Yeah.
It was still transferable.
There's all kinds of questions. Well, thank y'all for coming along, and this was a fun time to talk about this movie. Go and watch it when it comes out to watch, because it's a good time. You'll enjoy it. Thank y'all, and goodbye. You want to say goodbye, Denzel? Hot damn, college boy. Thank you so much for listening. Every single week we come back with a new movie about the end of the world, or a movie about the beginning of the end of the world, or what happens after the end of the world, or maybe one day we just decide to watch Showgirls. Who knows? Right? But every week we are coming back, and thank you so much for stopping in this week and listening to the whole episode and hearing our thoughts on whatever train wreck of a movie I chose to force my friend to watch this week. I'm a good person like that. And thank you for also being a good person. There you go. If you want to be a really, really fucking cool person, which you obviously are, why don't you give us a like, and actually, more importantly, give us a subscribe. I find that to be more important. I don't know if the algorithm says it is. I don't really give a shit. But thank you for your patronage either way, and clicking all the things and doing all the stuff. Bye. Thanks.